your Aries weekly reading for the month, well, the end of March, March 31st. Decided to get back at it. It's a little untapped, so let's tap that. Here we go. First, we're going to do a general spread for you, which is the general condition of Aries or energy in which I'm finding you. And then we'll go on to the rising sign or the moon. Let's see. Yes. Here we go. All right. First thing that comes up is Seven of Cups. The question I have for you, Aries, is are you overwhelmed? I see a little bit of anxiety here. This card's telling me that there's a little bit of overwhelm. Mostly, I would say emotional overwhelm. With this, we have a little bit of different subject matter that's coming into play that tells us there's lots of subjects that you're dealing with right now, and there's this sense of pressure. Man, you guys have all of my cards for pressure. There's a sense of wanting to walk away as well. Throw your hands up and just go. That's this one. This one's walking away from a dead tree. This is also the Queen of Swords, which I want to point out. The Queen of Swords has a lot to do with being very decisive. It's a little bit like the Queen of Hearts, where she says, off with their head. If you notice here, the Queen of Swords can be forward. You know, sometimes the Ace of Swords can be a little aggressive. However, it's the B card. You know, there's sometimes people just don't listen unless you're speaking to them in a very forward manner. So that's the Queen of Swords. We also have a lot of overwhelm, a lot of decision making that's going on here. We got the 10 of coins here, black and white, 9 of coins for ideas. We've got the 4 of Swords for pressure. I call that one the pressure cooker. He's got the sword of Damocles on his nose where it's pressure. Queen of Swords walking away. We've got the Judgment card where we're afraid if anything gets witnessed or seen, they're going to judge me. Sometimes the Judgment card has to do with consequence as well, where we're trying to maintain. And then we have 2 cards here. Well, look, you've got the 10 of Wands for anxiety, the 7 of Cups for overwhelm, and the 8 of Swords for being blinded to the next steps. So this card typically tells me that you're in this place where there's so much going on you don't know where to start. You have the Ace of Swords for decision and the Justice card for putting things in motion. I would say that the meaning of this is, number one, emotional intelligence, as indicated by the Knight of Cups. Our emotions are right up here, and we're having this sense of overwhelm again. There's just a lot that's going on with overwhelm. And then we have the Page of Wands here, which tells us, what did we learn? So the point of all this upheaval is for us to focus, find ourselves in the mix, and to make decisions. Ultimately, it feels almost as if there's consequence involved here with this reading. I wouldn't go so far as to say they're natural consequences or consequences of yours, but maybe the consequence of others. Karma literally means consequence. It means putting things in motion, and then there's natural expectations for things. So the karma of which we're dealing with these next steps is like literally the fallout of past decisions. But what's true is if you've cleaned up your behavior, if you've cleaned up and made a motion or a lane change, usually this tells us that the consequences will shift. And we're just cleaning up what's left, right? Overwhelm is the name of the game here. So what is the answer to overwhelm? Pulling back. What does it take to pull back? We begin to say no. We begin to really think about what we're committed to and think about what we've said yes to. It's perfectly okay to change our mind, but what's true is sometimes I said I would becomes a big deal. So say something different. Are you meditating? That's the first question that I would ask, because we're training our nervous system for overwhelm when we're constantly putting ourselves in places or environments that cause that overwhelm. Let's look at the mood and see what's driving you here. Everybody's out there on Easter. Nobody's up here right now, but that's okay. I'm going to do these videos anyway. Aries moon. Let's take a look here and see. And you're getting the King of Swords. The question that I have for you is, are you getting any support? That's the first thing that I'm seeing here, is stretching for a new beginning, looking for support. There's definitely moods involved here, but remember, moods change. It's a mood, most definitely. Don't take any shortcuts now. I do pick up the 4 of Pentacles here for feeling as if things aren't going the way that you want them to. It also feels like there's a lot of attention on you right now. You've got the Nine of Pentacles, and I'd also like to suggest for those of you that are Aries, we have the Page of Wands. This is an introduction or somebody reaching out to you. So I wouldn't be surprised if this Mercury retrograde has to do with past I always start hiccuping when it's time to channel. So I'm getting the Page of Wands here for new beginnings, and also the Page of Cups. So I wouldn't be surprised if someone wants a fresh start with you romantically, or if someone from your past doesn't pop back up and do the whole, hey girl, what are you into? But look here, we have the Eight of Swords again, and this is your moon. You're thinking about whether any of this is going to shift or change. You have the Ace of Swords in the center of your reading. The Ace of Swords ultimately is a decision making or a pivot point. So what decisions have you made, and what decisions do you feel like are coming up for you? Nostalgia is also in here. Are you spending too much time thinking about the past or what's been going on in the past? We have the Knight of Swords for moving forward. And what's true is we want to avoid rushing into things. So this card tells us, the Knight of Swords tells us that there's a little bit of energy of being impulsive. So pull back a little bit. If you're meditating, do a little bit more of that. I would say that that helps train the nervous system so that you have better emotional response versus reaction. I do have a question for Aries, though. We've got the Four of Pentacles, which means someone hasn't kept an agreement with you. I call this the cheating card. And it definitely doesn't mean cheating, but it definitely feels as if there's a betrayal, or someone hasn't honored what they said they would do for you and you're not letting it go. And wanting to maybe cut corners. We've got the Seven of Swords also for not doing things. It's not exactly sneaky, but it's definitely a little bit along the lines of wanting to get things done in a rush. So the Hangman was present in your general spread. Typically the Hangman means a season or a period of time for which things are going to take to resolve themselves. It doesn't necessarily mean a long period of time. It just definitely means that you're in the middle of this phase right now, this Eight of Pentacles. What patterns are repeating for you? That's what I'm seeing here is patterns. There's nothing wrong with patterns. I was just talking about this in the Aries, Cancer, Libra, Capricorn, Mercury retrograde reading yesterday. The Eight of, and I knew this had to do with Aries, the Eight of Pentacles has to do with patterns. But what we do when a pattern produces itself, or when it starts over again, what ends up happening is we think the pattern is the problem. Or this keeps happening, and we go to try and change things. Usually the pattern shows up in order to give us progress notes, an ability to see how far we've come. You know, we don't lose weight in a gym overnight. It's the time it takes of dedication and discipline. So where is your discipline and where is your commitment? One of the things that's popping up in your reading right now is the High Priestess. And whenever she pops up, I like to remind people to trust your instincts implicitly. When the High Priestess shows up, it usually has a reference to your instinct, your gut feelings, the things that are floating around in our subconscious that we're thinking about. And the High Priestess is the card that, even though I'm the oracle and doing the reading, I don't recommend asking for others to point the direction. Usually we have an internal compass that tells us what's right and wrong, and that's the High Priestess. So I highly encourage you to trust yourself implicitly right now, even if that gauge seems off to others. It's very important that we trust our instincts, because it will continue to give us messages when we listen. And exercise it. Exercise your intuition. I like to say that we don't have to go to the archives and to prove something in order to trust it. If you trust, you may have your math wrong. For example, I love to use the looking at our man's phone kind of thing. When we're looking at our man's phone and we don't find what we're looking for, we dismiss the feeling. It doesn't mean that there's cheating. It doesn't mean that there's something going on. Maybe there's this sense of something off that we can't put our finger on. Just trust that something is off, and then let the universe unfold the details for you. What's true is that our instincts are there for a reason. So the High Priestess here is in play. Also, I just want to bring up the Nine of Pentacles that's showing up for you, which has to do with being watched, being seen, being noticed, or being I call this one my Instagram model. Look at that refinement. She's ready to pose. This is that sense of feeling somebody's watching or paying attention to what you're doing. Or if I do this thing, like let's talk about breakups. If we do a breakup, everybody's got to have a commentary, right? So there's that sense of not wanting to have an audience in this card. So privacy might be the thing that you're needing right now. There's nothing wrong with the Hermit card of taking a step back, because what does the Hermit do? They don't go to punish others or themselves. They go to learn. They go to study. They go to take a look at things. And so the Hermit tells us, you know, that it's okay to investigate and take a step back. Let's pull a card from Divination of the Ancients and see what your theme is for this week. Omen. I just love that I was talking about your instincts. So there's omens or things for you to look out for if you're paying attention. I want to thank you for hanging out with me. There's lots of new stuff going on the website. The drum, the ceremonial drum is all over there. If you're looking to make a ceremonial drum, if you want to come on and get started on your meditation for the modern mystic, I've got a 12-week comprehensive course that is, I believe, my finest work. It took me 6 years to cultivate all the information, and then this last year to get the videos and the workbooks done for you guys. Highly recommend you play with that. I'm excited about it. Thank you for hanging out with me. I'll catch you on the flip side. I'm going to come right back on here and do